and we're back with another video. And in today's video, what we're gonna talk about real quick. Shout out to Black Ram, O'Shea's over there and they're having a conversation, but I want to get this off my chest. Shout out to everybody on BGS's hangout as well. Shit. So I'm getting my shit together. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna talk about ego. And we're gonna talk about how ego is often the like fake, the blind man's mind's eye. And shout out to Rex. I definitely do appreciate him, the candidness of him putting this stuff out there. And sometimes it seems like we're like beating up on him a little bit, or something like that. But he takes it as a good sport. But actually, this video was kind of inspired by him because Rex is kind of like the representative. Rex is a good representative of how black people that are not on YouTube like that or stuff like that, or not really having back and forth with these conversations, would interpret our information, even if they try to absorb it from a good faith standpoint. So when I say that, I mean not just automatically saying, oh, that's some bullshit, blah, blah. Understand that there's something to what's being said, but I don't know if this applies to me, how it applies to me, how much of it is bullshit versus versus motherfuckers that's just mad because they're losers, versus how much of it is actually some shit I really need to take heed to, and what the value is. Like this thing, what is it? It sounds like it's some shit there, but it sounds like it's some fuck shit there too. And that always depends on what content creators are being listened to, how people come in, what their own life experiences is, how long they've been listening. Because some of this stuff you just have to pick up the patterns to kind of see how people respond. Gab was like, and it's funny because Rex has been married for a long time, over 10 years, and like over, I think, maybe 15 years, but let's just say over 10, guaranteed. And Gab, and even though he's not Gab at all, Gab kind of had and still does have these same kind of things, because reservations, and he's in DC area versus what's called in the Philly area. Sorry. Yeah, so there's commonalities here. These are the people that really the information kind of needs to be kind of honed. The feedback you get from people like that is very constructive feedback. It's not feedback with them trying to say what people need to say, or I ain't saying I agree with the feedback they get, because I've had BGS has had conversations with Gab, and he has conversations with Rex too, and he's had a lot more harsher conversations with Gab, but I know Gab is trying to apply what he says based on what he knows, and he's looking at what's in his own bubble, in his own square, and not really overall as a view. And that has the same thing with like Beasley too, where every time we turn around, Beasley wants to always bring the age card as if that's a get out of jail free card. And I'm like, dude, this is not a millennial struggle situation. Like, it ain't a whole bunch of millennials that's fucking homeless. They're usually, if anything, jail is what they gotta worry about. It's a whole bunch of old ass niggas that's fucking homeless in California. Not a whole bunch of young motherfuckers necessarily. Cause remember, old black men, if you ain't set your shit up straight, you have no value even in the black community, because the black people, unfortunately, don't respect their elders like they should. So if the gynocracy does not value old ass niggas, you can't fuck, and you can't not like that, and quite frankly, unless you got money to spend, you have no value. This is why you see a whole bunch of older black men homeless and out here, versus younger black men still have a labor value. Not to mention, which is usually jail is there, is where motherfuckers like to put them, unfortunately. And then that sounds bad, but this is how this is how society eats its own. What up, Super Trez? And so as far as ego, it's the same thing with Beasley, the same thing with Rex. This is not me saying that they're narcissistic or anything like that, but when you look at what the commonalities is, why black men, whether it's age, whether it's class, whether it's whatever, they have a issue, like really thinking it really, it's not even about accepting it, it's more like understanding it. And if you have doubt, then denial will not be too far behind. It's really ego. Like I could kind of tell that when Rex and I'm gonna go kind of, we're gonna take some detours, but we're gonna come back to the destination to come back to. I can tell when I'm having these conversations with Rex, Rex is really interpreting what's being said. He's interpreting, or when we're having a conversation, he's interpreting what we're said is like a critique on his manhood. And now that I thought about it for a second, if I would, and I get it, it's a panel, so it is what it is. If I would have had a chance one-on-one with him, I would ask him this. I said, okay, so let's say I come up from a two-parent household that both of my family upper middle class. They both make, let's say one of them, the dad makes, man, you shouldn't have did that stupid shit. Anyway, let's say I come from a background where, I'm set up right. Both of my parents make in like $100,000 a year or something like that. And then I'm in a better economic position. I'm set up in a better economic deck than what his background was, right? So the question would be, I would ask him, does that mean that I have more advantages than you? Yes or no? And he probably would say yes, because I was given a better deck of cards. Now, what I would then say, okay, does that mean I'm a better man than you? Does that mean that I have more masculinity than you because of that economic advantage? He will probably say no, and I would agree with that. Not and take the women off the table, even though the women, particularly our women, but women in general would not necessarily interpret that. Even non-black women wouldn't necessarily interpret it that way automatically. Money does not necessarily equate to masculinity. It doesn't, and this is what a lot of dudes understand. But my point is, that's just like how that has nothing to do with his manhood. Is the same thing when we're talking about the gynocracy. The gynocracy and what you got to deal with in your household is not a commentary on your lack of manhood. And he didn't directly think that that's what was being attacked, because you could tell by how he was reacting to it. You could tell he didn't think we were directly saying that, but it was like some things that I think were people think that were implied there, that I think what a lot of people tend to think is implied there, and even though they can't put the finger on it, that's really what it is. Because I know when it comes to sexuality and manhood, this is where a black man's ability to get cooperation from a female is, for the most part, the only real thing that in the black community counts. So they create these ideas that they have more control than they otherwise have, because if that's not the case, then that's a commentary on the manhood. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is, and that's not what we're insinuating. Now, can that be the case? Sure, that can be the case. Simping and all of that is an example of that. But what we're talking about is that woman. And another analogy I like to give is, take women in Haiti, take women in Jamaica, which are all black for the most part, and take African Americans. Now, on paper, we got more money there. There really is no comparison. As far as economics, as far as building life, if you talk about motherfuckers that are in Jamaica versus motherfuckers versus us that are here. But the difference has nothing to do with that. BGS says it all the time. It's the environment. In the environment that Jamaican woman has to deal with, because she changes slightly for the most part when she gets to America, is she has to deal with her man. There is no white man you can go to that's going to be able to overrule. And it ain't about Jamaicans are better men, all of that. There ain't no white people around. There is no parent class around that women can go to try to usurp the power of those dudes. They have to negotiate with those dudes as they are. And when you see that, and even this is the difference between what the fuck we deal with in America and colonialization. Because in colonialization, they get the resources and leave. There is no like general infrastructure where you can kind of call white people are right there. That is some kind of unique shit that you deal with only when you're in the Western world, or if you're in America. Other women don't have access to that shit. They don't. Even Latin women with colorism and all of that, they don't have access to operate outside of the bounds of their men. And quite frankly, Latin men are not going to save, non-black men are not going to save black women from from black men. It's separate. Only in America will you see a lot of that kind of real intermixing dynamics to where women have the ability to just easily usurp a men's authority that way. And so what happens is, just like how you deal in a post-industrial society, you have women, it's not about what they directly do. It's about them growing up and what they indirectly are able to do, and how that informs the value of the men around them, and what they think they can get away with and not get away with. This is why what we deal with is very unique, like as far as where we are as black men versus what other people often talk about. Because other people, because when you hear Hispanics talking and all that, I understand there's a lot of similarities, but it's not the same thing. It's not. Because they're not only, it's what they can do, they have been baked in a cake for doing it. All women can technically kind of try to pull what black women do. They could try it. But the problem is, black women have been doing it for generations now. So they're used to it. So they don't even think about it. Like, for instance, I understand like his daughter challenging him on wearing clothes because that's what you want to wear. But like the fact that his wife did that on something like that, that's something you're supposed to hold a united front on. And that's why, for the most part, I brought up the Tiny thing. Tiny is a rogue. Tiny is not a submissive wife. Tiny has played T.I. in a very bad way. Tiny has given as much as she's pretty much probably gotten. It's like, relatively speaking. But when it comes to the kids, they have an agreement. And when I say an agreement, I'm not talking about, well, she gives him permission to do shit. There's an agreement that, she knows that T.I. makes it a lot easier for her to have kids and handle it than it otherwise would be. And as a result, she basically respects the man's position to leverage those kids because that makes her life easier. She understands that. She's not a fucking idiot. Because a lot of women don't get that. They don't get that the man's position is to be leveraged in order to help you legislate those damn kids. Just like how a woman's position, as far as earlier on when it comes to child rearing and child care, is to be leveraged. You don't see men trying to infiltrate what women do and kids. Jason Black said that. You don't see men try to step into a feminine role, but you see women trying to step into a masculine role, and that ultimately fucks them up. It's not about this independence. This type of shit that feminism doesn't teach. And this is the type of shit gynocracy doesn't teach, because a lot of it is gynocratic as well as feministic. So the point is, that's what we're talking about. We're talking about there's things otherwise that Rex gets questioned on. This should not be questioned. That has nothing to do with his manhood. That has to do with what the environment is he has to deal with as a father. When you look at black men that have to go over the river and through the moon just to see their kids, even though they're good men, and at the end of the day, the female fuck that nigga. So you fucked him and you chose to have his baby, but now you want to legislate how he can see the kids when he actually wants to be there? That's the shit we're talking about. That's not a commentary on manhood. This is why I said you can take all black men that don't have kids and take them out of conversation, and only have black men that have children, whether they're married or not, and tell me, is all the cooperation all of a sudden cool? Is it still a problem? Hell, you can take and just apply it to men that are only married, and then say, is all of a sudden the cooperation back and forth, is that gone? Is all of a sudden, the women they're cooperative all of a sudden? They don't challenge shit that shouldn't be challenged. We're not talking about shit that, all right, we're talking about little shit. We're talking about like little shit. As a woman, you damn sure know what it's like. You live in Philly, you know what it's like. So if you got her coming out here looking fast as hell, I don't want to hear men shouldn't do shit. No, men are gonna do shit because that's the fucking world we live in. So you got to teach people to navigate and understand why shit is. That's what a man is supposed to do. And you usurping that is really harming your daughter. You usurping what Rex was trying to say is really harming your child. And then when if that ever happens, God forbid it does, all of a sudden I don't know what the fuck happened. I'm just a victim. How could society do this? That's like telling a black man you can go out there and cuss out the fucking cops because at the end of the day you an American citizen just like a white person is. That would be fucking stupid. Because we know what time it is out here. But see, this is the time. So it's not about right or wrong. It's just about I want to tax it. Well, because he cheated. Here's another thing I'm going to say. When I say make the comment, because there's another thing that can be taken the wrong way. When I make the comment, like his wife knew what she was choosing when she chose it. This is not to say, well, because he's a D-boy, he's a bad person, or because he did bad things. That's not what I'm talking about. What I mean is we know that D-boys have a certain sexual marketplace value in the black community, regardless of class. Let's be real about that. And because of that, if you choose a guy that did that or does that, because just because you don't do that anymore doesn't mean that kind of part about you is gone, that these women can pick up on and like. I'm talking about black women in particular. You knew what the fuck you were choosing. So when you it's kind of like choosing any other guy that has a sexual marketplace value. You choosing a guy that you know can get a lot of females, don't get mad then when he's able to legislate you against that. Because you knew what you were picking. This is the thing where black women and black people got to be real about monogamy. Black men, for the most part, understand if you get a 8, 9, or 10, and she, as long as she is in that 8, 9, or 10 status look-wise, you will have to fight to keep her. And she will leverage those options against you 90% of the time. Especially now. He got married a while back. We're talking about now. But even back then, people understood that. You can't fall the fuck off. Most women are 80% of divorces are activated by women. For what? Money and sex. So we know that as this, that shit card can be pulled, even if you get women that marry you, and those are women that are really in the upper median of women. So, but yet 80%. So the point is, and I'm getting to the ego part, but I want to stick with this. The point is, in those situations, it has nothing to do with he's a D-boy, he's a thug. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about we know how those archetypes are perceived in the black community with black women. So by definition, you have a guy that by definition on the sexual marketplace high value, and women don't have no home record law rules. Black women don't give a fuck about that. A lot of these women, in fact, and O'Shea mentioned this, and other black men have mentioned this. I know Rex probably hasn't heard this. Men that are married, look, if you're a former D-boy, whether you do it or not, and you've turned your life around, that part of you, women can pick up that kind of spirit or energy or whatever the bullshit. They can pick up on that, number one. Number two, you're married, so you're taken. So you're an unavailable man, and you are a former that. So that means you got edge. That's what I'm talking about. You got edge with you. And you in Philly. Edge. So you got edge and you're unavailable. These are values that black women love in a man. All you gotta do is have the right height, have the right that, you good. So she's mad. What she's really mad at is she takes it out on you because she can. But what she's really mad at is the fact that she's insecure. That's really what that's going on. She's insecure because she know what these bitches are out here willing to do. She know it's probably easy for you. This is the complete, and I'm going in detail with this because one thing he kept on bringing up was the incel thing. The incel is not in the conversation because the incel is not even in a relationship with a female. Most people that are red pill based on interactions they've had with females in relationships. Has nothing to do with being unable to get a woman. That's what people say as a mechanism to try to shut down what is being said. It's like saying, if I say that women got to learn to stop being fast as hell and learn how to move through the world in a certain type of way to protect themselves, then somebody tries to tell me, well, I'm cool with rape. I'm co-signing rape. Because for some reason, somehow, some way, me saying that shit is letting a rapist off the hook. Because really, I should focus on the dude that likes to rape rather than focusing on what women do. Like, it doesn't matter if a woman has a fake ID or she puts herself in proximity for shit to happen. It only matters what the men are doing. Because it can't happen if the men are not doing it. Here's the problem. You will never live in a world where where all men are not doing bad things. That's not a world, because that's you're no longer human if that's what the case is. So that's the same thing. They use the incel thing as a shaming mechanism and tactic in order to try to make people embarrassed to say some real ass shit. These women are lightning speed faster and doing these chicks are doing shit in middle school if you don't watch them. These women are sucking dick in middle school, and I'm gonna say it just like that. I saw that. I was in school 15 years ago, and I ain't gonna say I personally witnessed it, but you saw that that's where shit was going. It's 15 years since I've been in high school. My youngest brother is 10 years younger than me, and I'd be damned if my youngest brother cannot co-sign that shit, what I'm talking about. So this is not me just talking from my point of view, and this is me, and keep in mind, shit happens more in the urban environments than they actually do with the in more of the suburban environments, because there's more proximity. Don't even get me started on it. You got to watch how these females fuck with girls too. It ain't just the men you got to worry about. You actually got to worry about these females, because these females are a hell of a lot more predatory on young girls than actually dudes are. Why? Because the females don't have the same governors on them in how they deal with other women. Just like how a woman is more likely to get her ass fucked up by a woman than a man, because a man, the society is watching him. The society is paying attention to what he does, especially black men. They're paying attention with this. That society ain't paying attention to what women are doing with other women. Society doesn't give a shit about that. This is why you look at things like WNBA and shit like that. And you see that these women are operating like straight predators, and they get a thing for turning out young girls. So really, and there's a blindness to that. So which basically emboldens them to do it, and also it's not focused on. Not to mention, you got women that'll set up other females to get raped by fucking dudes. Like, that shit happens. And because there's a blindness to the women, because women can't do no wrong in this society, that's where more of the threat really is, to be honest with you anyway. But my point is that it has nothing to do with an incel thing. With the going back, you can be a man getting pussy and you still dealing with this shit. Because at the end of the day, you still got the threat of divorce on you. You got the threat of child support on you. You got the threat of alimony on you. See, these women wouldn't be thinking like that if they knew if they left with what the fuck they had. They wouldn't be doing that. This is why men don't typically activate divorce. Women do, because it's no real benefit unless you're a man and you're really prepared, which most aren't. On the average, is no really and then not to mention the dudes ain't really trying to blow up they shit like that. Dude, look, if dudes want really tired of a bitch, dudes are just cheat every now and then and make up the difference. But dudes are like, look, I'm used to her, I know what she is, I'm used to her bullshit, which is exactly what Rest was talking about. He's used to it, which that's how men are. Men adapt. So his situation is actually the proto-archetype of what I'm talking about. Ain't no woman out here telling like that, yeah, they doing some like undercover shit, but they not out here like calling a man's fucking manhood out directly. Only crazy bitches do that. And most of them chicks are not married, by the way. It's much more subtle, but it still has impact over time. And that's the thing these dudes don't want to think about, because they're used to it. And quite frankly, it's something you shouldn't even have to get used to. You should, like, when I'm talking about cooperation, it should be, okay, on bigger things, there may be a conversation, but for the most part, when it comes to simple shit, like with kids, that shit is, and look, I don't have kids, so I'm not the authority on this, but look, BGS has said all this shit too. Say some shit, I'm just saying. There's certain things that you shouldn't even have, it shouldn't be questioned. In fact, it should be automatic that you go with whatever the dude says, and then if you really don't agree with it, you then say, for next time, I don't agree with it for this reason. But a united front should have been is automatic. So if that's not the case, a lot, and it's on little shit, that then you have to ask why that is. It has nothing to do with the woman is a bad woman and you chose the wrong woman. People have been married for X amount of time. I give women credit to a certain extent for that. And clearly you're not in a situation where you're like what I call a submissive husband. Because there is such a thing as a submissive husband. That's clearly not on Rex. That's not what we're talking about. And one good SWP talked about that. He had a submissive father. That is a different thing than what we're talking about. But what we're talking about is the things that black men have to deal with, even black men that are married, in relationship to these females. It has nothing to do with your ability to get pussy or lack thereof. Because at the end of the day, if they get you in a relationship and you get domesticated, it's still gonna be the same shit. Putting a fucking tracker on his phone, but then legislating like how these kids need their independence, particularly daughters. That's insane. And that's like exhibit A. It's obvious. And if you were to really break it down, like if she were to really go to BGS for women, what's gonna happen is she'll get angry. She'll be like, who do these motherfuckers be telling me anything? But she don't know. I'm sure she don't know why she do what she do. It's instinctual, because that's the culture. That's the problem. Because other groups don't deal with this shit to the extent that we deal with it. So what does this fucking have to do with ego? With ego, you don't see it, because the ego is telling you, well, they're saying that your manhood isn't intact, otherwise she'd be doing everything you say. That's not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is that, again, it's that the ego is blinding you to shit that you shouldn't have to tolerate. And real fucking talk, like, my thing would have been like, why? Well, because of that bitch. Look, the thing about it is, and I'm not married, so keep in mind, take this with a fucking grain of salt of a dude that ain't married and a dude that is not, that don't have kids, that's 33 years old. Let's take it with that grain of salt. But my thing is, it's like, look, you really gonna sit here, the first thing, sorry, if I kept hearing that shit, the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get prepared. Meaning I'm getting my finances reorganized in a way that if the shoe like actually drops, I can maximize my ability to deal, to create whatever outcome I'm trying to create. That's the one thing I would do. And I'm not against marriage, like, absolutely. But I will say that I plan on being absolutely prepared with the paperwork for any and all contingencies. I'm not going to be blindsided with shit. Look, you either over this shit or not. This is not gonna be some shit where you sit there and hold over me forever. Because Rex said it. He said cons and the pros outweigh the cons. That's why y'all still married on a variety of things. So this thing, I'm kind of talking in general, not really talking specifically his situation. But yeah, I'm kind of switching back and forth. So that thing about we gonna hold this over your head forever, that's gonna be your go-to. No, fuck that shit. In fact, you want to go cheat, go do it. But fuck that. That's not happening. Meaning that's no longer being used unless I cheat again. That's over. That shit about using that as a mechanism to kind of as an example to raise kids, that shit should be out of bounds, in my opinion. That should be out of fucking bounds. Using that for kids, no, because that's basically fucking up the next generation for what? And I'm like, at the end of the day, you knew what the fuck you were choosing when you fucking chose. Period. And a lot of times women need to be reminded of that shit. They really do. Because they know, because they want to act like they don't know what the fuck they do and they stuck in a situation. That's by choice. So but whatever. I'm not trying to tell nobody what to do. I'm just saying, from personal experience, I don't deal with people hold shit over my head. Any woman. That includes women in my family. No. We will correct it and it will be let go, and that's it. Like, for real. Otherwise, the relationship can just be blown up. And I don't fuck with you. You don't fuck with me. And I've had to do that. But, again, black men got to stop being blind to shit. And then it's like, oh, well, my manhood. And the reason why I'm harping on this so much is because you know who it is. I'm not gonna say his name. The nigga, you say his name 3 times, he want to show the fuck up. He tried to say, well, the only reason why y'all niggas are saying that, and I'm sure this might be where he got it from. In fact, I know this is where he got it from. Now that I think about it, I know this is who the nigga he got it from. Y'all niggas just want to say that there's a godocracy, but y'all only say that because y'all don't control your own fucking household. And the niggas that say that don't control their own fucking household. Not really. Because at the end of the day, if you control your household, then guess what? You want to know if you control your household, do some shit that you don't go piss a female off and see what the fuck she do. Whatever she does is what the fuck she can do. That's all you need to know. Whatever the fuck she does is what the fuck she can do. And you'll be surprised how many of these chicks will try to pull your whole card and the speed at which they try to pull it. What she does is what she can do. A woman does not leave options off the table for the most part, especially women of today. They will use every option to legislate your ass because they don't see a concussive consequence to that. See, white women got to pay attention what they do with their men because they know at the end of the day, the law is only going to come at their men come at their men so hard. A white woman has to pay attention. You may get your man put in jail. Guess what? He's getting out. And when he's getting out, you're going to have to deal with what the fuck happened. And not only that, you're dealing with a situation where where your kids might side with your father and you might be asked out. See, that's the type of calculation white women got to make when they're dealing with their men. This is why when white women bitch about quote unquote patriarchy, that's what they're talking about. They don't got to deal with that with nobody else except for their men. And they act like that shit's oppressive. No, it's not. They have to deal with consequences to what they do. And that's what a lot of women today look at it as oppressive. Now, another thing, going back to the thing I was talking about from the political standpoint, I am very well aware that California is expensive as fuck, and this is why people are leaving. But that being said, your economic power is still predicated on how many people as a group that you have. Because we're not even talking about immigrants. We're not even talking about people, LGBT, motherfuckers that have different agendas and different allegiances. We're just talking about black people on this. So the point is, when motherfuckers act like, why as a group can we never get shit done? It's because we don't look at these things. We sit there, we don't look at Oakland and see Oakland is like where people have gone. They're just gone. And then other groups are moving in. And it's not just California, but California is the most pronounced. So it doesn't matter the reason, it just matters it is. And at the end of the day, black people are on the way to being an insignificant population. Doesn't matter how much a bunch of older black men, how much money they got or shit like that. And it goes back to what BGS even said. When BGS said, well, that's why they won't sell because they know their kids won't be able to live here. So it doesn't matter how much fucking money their parents have. That is the problem. And let's keep it real. Proximity, what is the biggest indicator of who somebody's gonna be with? So the lower your economic population, your population, the more likely you are, if you have what I call genetic value. This is why I call it genetic gentrification. You are to add mixed with other people because of proximity. This is why you got black Latins saying nigga and all this other bullshit and motherfuckers. This is where that comes from. This is about understanding the metrics by which a group power and individual power, yeah, for you may work, and I am my own situation, but that does not trump group power. And there's certain things that you cannot do really as an individual. It has to be collected. And so when people do that, that's a way of dismissing what's being said. I mean, look at it. It's an entire, Dinus talks about it all the time. It's an entire crisis when you're looking at black men basically homeless in California. Nobody gives a fuck, including black women. But no, I'm good. Because I'm good. That's a millennial problem. Majority of motherfuckers, age-wise, are not necessarily millennials. Because a lot of millennials can fuck their way into a house. They can fuck their way into being under a bitch. And the ones that can do. That's that genetic value standpoint. So again, it's ego. It's ego that has people not seeing what's right the fuck in front of them. And this is why if nothing changes, nothing changes. This is a big reason why a lot of times when motherfuckers want to talk about pro-black shit, like we can't even begin to have a conversation. There's a video that I might put on my it is of an English dude that I listen to. He talks about like Halo, deep lore shit, and there's a video that he has. It's a really good video. It's on some deep lore shit with the Halo universe, but it's talking about the difference between ancient humanity and like humanity, like our humanity. So if you play Halo, like in the deep lore, there's humanity fought the Forerunners like millions of years ago, blah, blah, blah. But all of the ancient humans might not necessarily be dead. And they were talking about how even though genetically we're 99% the same, how that 1%, and even if we were 100% the same, just their evolutionary state mentally because of what they know, it's like you taking me and putting me back in like 1300 BC. Like, I know the world is round. I know this. I know that. There's conversations I can't even begin to have with certain people because I'm going to be deemed a threat or a heretic because of what we've learned, the science we learned. Not to think that our science is that much far ahead than the other people, but you get what I'm saying. So imagine that like 100, 200, 300,000 years over, right? Just 1,000 years. Look how big of a difference that made. Now look at that times 100. It would be, even though you're the same, it would be insane. And that's kind of like, and it has nothing to do with somebody being smarter than somebody else. It's kind of like that's what we're talking about. We're having these back and forth where it's like you gotta walk people through certain shit. Otherwise, they're gonna just think motherfuckers is bitching and complaining. And it's like something's gotta bite black people right in the ass for them to really, really understand that there's an issue there. Trying to think. I did clock out. And that's really the back and forth. So, anyway. Well, I mean, at the end of the day, man, what I'm trying to see, this is the reason this is important is not because people are trying to say you're blue pill. That's not what people are saying. This is why black men don't get married. This is why a lot of black, and it's not just black men. This is why a lot of white men now. White men are supposed to be at the top. Let's be clear here. As far as the incel argument, if white men were willing to fuck black women or be in relationships with black women, if they accepted that, there would be no white incels. Because they could always default to that shit. If they really had to, they wouldn't need to go overseas. So the fact that you have white people there talking about just like how black men can always default to fucking a fat bitch. Black men can default to fucking fat, obese women, whether they're black or white. And they would be able to get pussy. So it's nothing. So when people talk about incel, talk about involuntary forced loneliness, like they don't really understand what that is. And I'm not even talking about rest. I'm talking about people in general. They use that as like a lightning rod in order to shut down a conversation because people have ran out of logic. So now it's this. So Rex picks it up, and it's this kind of, it's this fucking like I don't know what this really means now because people have not really made it clear. Which is, I get that. Trying to see what I want to get, man. I just want to get a sandwich. I'm about to get a sandwich. I ain't got to go get no pizza and all bullshit. Tone talks to this data. Tone talks knows how to manipulate numbers. Okay? So understand, one thing y'all got to realize is dealing with a guy like Tone is you gotta do your own fucking research. Because because what y'all don't understand is Tone is a lot like Anthony Brian Logan, where they're very good at presenting information. And anybody that's done a statistics class will tell you can manipulate information if you know how to do it to basically make it sound like what you want it to sound. So y'all be talking about Tone talks data basically contrary. No, it doesn't. Tone basically he cherry picks information that benefits his fucking outlook. He's no different than, he's a liberal version of Anthony Brian Logan. Except Anthony Brian Logan is probably more better on the debate side, and Tone is more better on the research side. That's it. But they're the same type of Negro. So y'all will sit there and absorb everything. Tone told you. Will Tone actually tell you where he got his shit from? So I'm talking about, my bad. All right, I'm gonna end this shit, but Well, I mean, you can disagree all you want to, but I mean, if you think Tone is more got better information in BGS, then I mean that's just a belief you gonna have. And like I said, I always say that people are accountable to who they listen to. So y'all gonna be out here assed out when Tone gets exposed, and y'all gonna be looking dumb. But that's I'm not I don't argue tit for tat on people like that. I don't do that. Um. Okay, so here's the thing. Never said that. Like we all like BGS has never said that black men that black men didn't have older black men didn't have certain opportunities. I don't know where you got that from. I understand that BGS always has that millennial talk back and forth, so y'all just take it from an emotional standpoint. But BGS has never outright said we know where the job what was going on with jobs and stuff like that. He speaks on that when it comes to overall loss of manufacturing and stuff like that. So no, it's contradicting. You're kind of you're intaking it the way you want to intake it. That's really what the problem is. So when you say, yeah, man, you know, older black men had better opportunities. No fucking duh. They had better opportunities. They had the Ford plants, they had all of that. And that's never been anything to do with that. It really does. And quite frankly, there are opportunities out there. Black men kill me with that shit. And by the like, black men kill me with that shit. Like, there's nothing nobody can do. Dude, there's truck driving, there's the military. There are. Is it as easy as it was? No. But this idea that like ain't nothing nobody can do. You know, my younger brother pulls that shit, and it just to justify what the fuck he wants to do. Now, as far as Tone talk about, you know, everything is horrible and all of that shit. Remember, Tone lives in fucking I believe Tone lives in Los Angeles. So don't Tone will gas your ass up, talk about, yeah, the data says. Yeah, he can't understand. He want to talk about capitalism can't do shit, but Byron Allen backs him. So, you know, like I said, y'all can listen to Tone if y'all fucking want to, but Tone is gonna lead your ass to being broke and ain't got no money, and that's on y'all. I'm just saying. Fuck. Tony leave y'all ass to being broke and ain't have no money, man. Y'all will listen to Tone and basically think it ain't nothing I can do, so I should just be lazy and sit on my ass. Tone uses that as a marketing tactic manipulation ploy. Oh, black people can't elevate themselves with wealth because it's just so hard for economics. No, it's so hard for him to do it. So that's what he says. Exactly, LaShawn. That's exactly what he's doing. And what Tone is trying to make it sound like, this is the thing with Tone. Tone, and I said this with Tariq Nasheed. A lot of people hate on Tariq Nasheed is because Tariq Nasheed and Jason Black got an ability to extract money out of the populace that they can't do. They don't have the charisma or whatever the juice you need to do it. So they hate on him. Talk about, look at all the money he made. He should do this. He should do that. So why don't you see fucking Tone saying that Byron Allen has a whole bunch of money, so Byron Allen should sponsor an ADO platform? You don't see Tone saying that, do you? You don't see where is the sponsoring for that. He got $1 billion. $30,000 is all it take, right? You don't see that. You don't see, that's how you know he full of shit, man. Y'all will listen to Tone. Like I've said that consistently. Tone. Yeah, y'all gonna listen to him if you want to. Being a truck driver, that's a lie. Black men, first of all, what those fields, that's bullshit. Black men are in the blue collar trades. So when it comes to IT and when it comes to truck driving and stuff and other like HVAC, no, they're not. Black men don't want to do it because it doesn't have the social status tied to white collar work. The majority of black wealth and black male wealth is actually in blue collar trades. So no, it's not correct. Now, was there a point where jobs are just out there like that when it comes to union jobs? Sure. And millennials don't have that benefit. And that is correct. But at the end of the day, man, I have zero tolerance for people that want to make excuses for being a broke nigga. So I'm not saying that's what you are, but anybody talk about it's hard out here, you know, it's so hard, I can't do that. Usually what they're not telling the story is they're not telling the story that usually they fucking built up a certain amount of baggage that fuck they shit up. And they don't want to be honest about that. So what happens, it starts to seem like the society ain't giving jobs out and shit like that. But what I find is the same motherfuckers don't ever say that when it comes to getting pussy, there's no excuses. You either can or you can't. But everything else, it's hard out here. I didn't say, bro, that's not what I said. Again, you're hearing what you want to hear, B Night. You're hearing what you want to hear. What I stated was, why doesn't Tone say if Byron Allen got all his money, why can't he sponsor an ADO's conference? You don't see him saying that shit. You don't see me TX and all them saying that shit. They're throwing that out there, and that this is what I'm submitting to you is evidence that they're hating on Tariq. Yvette and Tone specifically. Why aren't they asking Byron to do that? So he got way more money than Tariq got. So this bullshit about extraction of money is bullshit. Not really. Tariq is not an exception to the rule. And let's be clear here. People being a millionaire is an exception to the rule regardless of race. People making $100,000 a year is an exception to the rule regardless of race. That's regardless of race. So it doesn't matter. So those are exceptions regardless. You say that as if black people are just all supposed to have money or something. Black men are not doing shit in adequate numbers. So what does that mean? I mean, what are you really getting at? Like, what are you really getting at? Because my thing that I always say is, if you a broke nigga, you should, a bitch is dumb to fuck you if you broke. I ain't talking about you need to spend money on her, but if she fucks a nigga that's broke, regardless of the reason, she chooses a broke lifestyle. That's on her. So, I mean, dudes, so people want to say it's hard out here, and the news flash is about to get a hell of a lot harder than what it is. I get that, but at the same time, what are you really talking about? Because the only solution that Tone has for your ass is vote Democrat. That's the only solution Tone has for you. At the end of the day, well, what do I do? Well, you need to vote Democrat. That's at the end of the day, that's what his solution is. Nothing else. Well, we need to be politically active, and what the Democrats need to do is they need to, make us whole again. You think the Democrats don't fucking know that? You think they don't know that? He talks as if, oh, we just gotta make sure, we gotta tug on their shoulder and make sure they remember it. But we'll still vote for them. You dismiss data when it comes to economic scholars. Like, what are you talking about? Are you talking about as applicable to black people, or are you talking about as applicable to America as a whole? There's a study that actually says that only 1% of the world's population makes $50,000 or more. What are we really talking about? Like, you keep talking about data. Like, what is the data that you're talking about? What are you saying? Well, black men can't find a job? No fucking dumb. But the question is, Jesus, you can't find a job. You can't, like, and I'm not saying you, but I'm talking about all this bullshit. Nobody gives. This is the only piece of thing you need to understand about anything in regards to that is nobody gives a fuck about what black men can or cannot do. Nobody gives a fuck that black men can't get work. If half of us were homeless, nobody would give a fuck. So the data, they know they got the data. They don't give a shit. And by the way, your black women don't give a shit. That's the only thing you really need to fucking know. Your black men are only can deal with black men. That's it. Everything else is bullshit. Because people use data as if, oh, well, if I just get the right data that they see that nobody else sees to the right people, they'll fix it. No, they won't, because they know. They knew before you. In fact, they knew it would end up that way before it even became an actual number. They don't give a fuck. That's what you got to come to peace with. And the lie that Tone tells you is Tone actually makes it sound like you actually have an ability to basically legislate without spending money. So without buying your politicians, you actually have an ability, or without any other kind of leverage, you have an ability to get these politicians to do the right thing. That's a lie. And that makes Tone a damn liar for implying that, because he knows that's not true. So when he talks about economics and how you can just do shit on politics and no economics, he's a liar, and he's lying. Because anybody that gets anything done politically, you have to put money up to pay for the politicians that you need. The politics, the known don't matter unless you're dealing with local politics. And even then you can get around that. It's harder. But national politics, black people are a minority. So when he says that, he's a liar. And he's using the numbers to cover up him lying. That's the thing y'all don't understand. The problem is you all see these numbers. You all see 1 + 1 is 2. And you all think that shit means everything else he's saying is correct. Which, just because he tells you, oh, well, I'm right about 1 + 1 being 2. No. It's like a magic trick. And I'm not going to start commenting on somebody's intelligence. But at the end of the day, if you don't know how to recognize that, then you're going to fall for it. But at the end of the day, the point that if you actually look at what Tone is saying, Tone is essentially saying the only way black people are going to do anything is if we vote for the Democratic Party and we somehow convince the Democratic Party to do the right thing. That at the end of the day, that's all he's saying. He's saying vote for the Democrats and then show the Democrats the right information that he's the only one that has, or the people that he trusts are the only one that has. That's the beginning, the middle, and the end of what Tone is telling you on every video. That's all it is. And y'all interpret that as like some revolutionary shit. I know who Tone was a lot longer than any most of you all have. Doesn't matter. So is Boyce Watkins. Boyce Watkins has a PhD in finance. So is Dr. Claude Anderson. So all that Garrity bull, that shit don't mean shit to me. Dr. Claude Anderson, like Garrity ain't got shit on Dr. Claude Anderson when it comes to actually owning a business, operating in academia, actually operating in high-level admin of academia, actually being in the government at the presidential level over a much more wide period of time. So the names that you put now don't mean shit to me. Economic scholars don't mean shit. Most of them don't own businesses. So they only know what's in a fucking book. It's a problem with Boyce. He's too academic. And niggas, black people don't listen to Boyce, and Boyce got more pride economic scholarship than any of these dudes you bringing up. By definition, I should be able to say Boyce Watkins DN and close the book on Tone. But I can't because people don't even fuck with Boyce Watkins. So don't bring up economics like economics mean anything. Man, I wouldn't take a Robert Smith or Don Peoples over any economic scholar. I would take Byron Allen over any economic scholar, because economic scholars can't really tell you how to do it. They can just point out statistics that anybody else can actually find and research. So you saying somebody's a scholar as if that means anything. If I will take somebody that owns a business, I will take somebody that owns a business and that employs 50 people over a scholar any day, because they have a better understanding over the economy than any economic scholar does. None of that matters, because at the end of the day, be nice saying black men are lazy in this, none of that matters, because at the end of the day, Democrats are not going to fix it, because the Democrats created the situation. That's what you're not understanding. You keep on regurgitating information as if it comes from the right person, if it's said the right way. No. It's like a fucking dude in the friend zone would say, well, if I just say the right thing, she'll give me the pussy. No, that's why you're in the friend zone. That's you keep on coming back to the same shit, but you haven't said anything that addressed what I fucking said. Yeah, I didn't say the data was a lie. I said tone was a lie. Those are two different things. Because how Tone takes the data and the narrative he applies to the data is a lie. And by the way, you're bringing up Dr. Claude Anderson. Tone does not agree because black people aren't made whole. Because Tone fundamentally believes that the government is supposed to subsidize business. And although the government can do that, he believes that's what they're supposed to do, because he fundamentally believes that the government, the capitalism, is just another arm of socialism. So he really doesn't believe in capitalism in its form. So when you keep on talking about debunk the data with your data, you don't really have an answer for what I'm saying. So you're just going back to just basic nigga logic. The solution is black people need to take the wealth that they do have. When I say wealth, fuck wealth, the income that they have, and they have to re-rotate it in businesses that we own and control. Perfect example. Black women are 95% of the market when it comes to hair. Yet, they don't own hardly any of the businesses when it comes to nails, hair, and salon. That money goes to other people enriching other groups. We need to consolidate that. We need to consolidate blue collar work and everything else we do. We have to consolidate our own money as a group in order to push our own agenda. We have to take what we do have and make that shit work. Black people have a $1 trillion spending. Now, how much does that trillion actually turn into spending on other black people, on other black businesses? That's where the fuck your wealth is. All you need to know about because Tone will be like, well, the black spending, because that's spent on credit. Okay, you cut out a certain percentage to account for that. But all you really need to know is what the spending percentage is, the real monetary spending percentage is, and then juxtapose that against how much money we pass, how much does the black dollar pass amongst black people, which is less than once. Bounces out in less than 6 hours. That's all you need to know about where black people's money is. That's all you need to know about where's black wealth. And then when you look below that as to why black people don't work together, then that's when you start understanding the gynocracy, the lack of a social contract, the fact black men see other black men as sexual competition rather than seeing other racial and ethnic groups as sexual competition. And this is why black men don't work together. That's all you need to know. Well, that's what Jews did, by the way, when Jews were getting iced out of capital markets. But we're not talking about lending with each other. We're talking about, let's start off first by having an actual black market base by spending money with other black people. Tariq is a small example of how you actually could do that. Black women getting their nails done by other black women, prioritizing that, buying hair from other black women, getting the hair put in from other, but you do it where you can because you're the market. Everybody else does this shit but us. So when y'all talk about, well, what black people should do, I'm saying you should do what every fucking body else does. So it's really kind of talking more about how you all are ignorant to it than more so I don't know what I'm fucking talking about. You can look at Asians, whites, any other race, including Africans in America, Africans and immigrants. Look at what they do. They prioritize building their own shit. Well, they're allowed to do that. Well, we need to bust then. That's where the problem is. We need to take out any fucking obstacle that makes it harder for us to do that. That's really it. That's where it starts and that's where it ends. All this was the data. When y'all want to bet, put your life on some politicians that they gonna do, because you didn't buy the politician. The politicians have no reason to do anything you do because you didn't buy them. Yes, young start. That's a start. That's a start. You got to pay for what you want. That's absolutely a start. That's absolutely a start. But I'm not saying that. I'm saying, look at, like, I'm not necessarily saying you need to drive 30 miles to the nearest the nearest fucking black owned store. What I'm saying is, if you ain't got, first of all, y'all be lying when y'all saying y'all ain't got no black businesses around y'all. Y'all lying. Y'all liars. Anybody says that's a liar. Because if I ask you, like, actually give me a summation of what's there, most of them don't know because they don't care to look. So I'm tired of motherfuckers saying the shit ain't inconvenient when they ain't look. But if you legit don't have no black businesses in your area, then look at who hires black. Shit like that. This is like really, this is a form of economic cooning. We should look at this like white folks look at recycling. But we don't think about it. We don't talk about it. The conversation never goes any further. The conversation never goes any further than ain't convenient for me to buy black, so I'm not going to. Or black business owners don't do the right shit. That's where the conversation goes. That's why you motherfuckers are poor. That's why folks ain't got no jobs. But when you talk about men ain't getting, that's really where it starts. And honestly, anything, and the only other thing I would talk about other than that would be the fact that we don't mess with each other as a group, and that accentuates to the money, because that's important to understand too. But that's really where it is. That's where it starts. That's where it ends. Whew. Was there anything else you guys need? Yeah. Anyway, let's see what y'all else are saying. I appreciate the questions though. Well, I didn't question the data. I said he manipulates the data like a statistician to fit the narrative. So you keep on talking about the data like you're talking about Jesus Christ or something. Because you haven't even really told me what the data even mean. Like, what are you even talking about? You keep talking about the data. Which is what? Telling you that it's hard for a black man to get a job? No, duh. I don't need data to say that. It's not even about just starting a business. It's not, see, this is what I'm talking about. Like, stuff like that, it kind of goes back to comprehension. And it's like trying to teach old dog new tricks. That's really what it comes down to. And by the way, when you talk about the comment, most black women don't have the capital to start up a business. Capital, that's not really how businesses are started. So even that statement alone, most people don't start businesses with their own money. Yes, that's a problem. And they shouldn't be sold entrepreneurships. Again, that goes back to a lack of understanding of how to interface with this economy. All of that is comprehension because we don't talk about it. So all of the stuff you talk about is elementary. It really is. Well, 90% of black businesses, yeah, because they're consultancies. Because people don't have this information. This is the DNA to how to plug into the United States. Well, the question is, how do you get capital? You get the capital by getting investors. And this is where other black people got to invest in other black people. That goes back to that kind of lending money and loan kind of thing. Like, again, you look at capital from a perspective. If you go into a bank and a bank giving you money, that's not the only way the capital is generated. Like, I should be able to ask you, give me like 30 different ways of generating capital. And if y'all can't do that, then that tells me, I'm not saying 30, but if y'all can't give me more than 5, then that's telling me that, quite frankly, y'all don't really understand how to generate capital. It's something that y'all expect the bank to give to you. And if they don't give it to you, then y'all don't know how to get it. And again, that's a problem. Like, if you somebody that wants to start a business, like, I'll give you a perfect example. Like, for instance, a bank is a way of getting capital, but it's not the way. The main thing, if you want to start a business, I would look, number one, is self-funding. And number two, I would look at that combined with partnerships, that you can partner with other people, getting investors. And then over time, taking more and more control of that business, which is where a bank comes. For instance, let's say you want to start a car dealership and you want to generate $100,000 to do that. Well, where would you get that? Well, you have home equity, you have a loan through your home. If you have a home, you have obviously credit. If you haven't messed up your credit, you obviously have savings, you have 401k, you have other people's investors that they could pull from that type of money as well. It's just, I mean, you could really do blocks saying, hey, we got this $100,000 where we're doing it with like $5,000 increments. This is how I need you to hold it. This is what the interest could be. These are things you can look at, but see, we are not taught this. This is the type of stuff that shouldn't even be a question. But it's stuff that people don't think about because you're not taught it. You're not taught it in school. This is stuff that's in the background. And then we're sitting here looking, well, there's not enough capital. This stuff also Tone ain't gonna tell you because that's not in his lane. So he'll sit there and tell you the data. The data doesn't tell you that. I'm in Publix.
All right, awesome. Have a good one.
Okay, and 40% of black men. So I got a question. 40% of black men can't get work. So what does that mean? Why should anybody care? Tell me that. Tell me why anybody should care about 40% of black men can't get work. Since you want to talk about data, answer that question. Answer that question for me. I just told you. Like 5 6 ways. It's off the top of my head, and I could tell you more. But I've already told you. So answer my question. Why should people care? Yeah. So what I want is I want anyway. Yeah, I just told you. So I mean, again, this is not about me trying to say I'm smarter than anybody or anything like that. I mean, people don't know what they don't know, but you're not taught this. This type of shit you should be taught at your home. Give me. I'm still here. I was just getting something. But no, but like I was saying, yeah, answer that question. I want to answer to that question. Like, why should anybody give a shit? Because all people are telling me is what something is. You're not really telling me why anybody should care. Black men are a minority, or a minority of a minority. So why should anybody care? I already told you how black men can get money. And if you look at specific black men to target, I mean, you know, I can give you places where you can go. I see B9 ain't answer. I see you ain't answered that question. Yeah, you're right, LaShawn. Only people don't look into what was suggested. You're absolutely right. And I have a whole list of stuff to where you could go. You know, we're not even talking about things like title. There's ways to generate money, or you can generate a hustle. You can get a hustle that can generate money if you need to. But this stuff is not looked at because this stuff's got to be taught early. But like I said, why should anybody care? Because somebody telling me that 40% of black men are unemployed, why should anybody give a shit? That's really what I want to know. Because the reality is, just because that you're giving me a number, but why should anybody care about that number? Why should anybody give a shit? That's really the problem we're dealing with. Motherfuckers say that like that's an existential crisis. Black people are like, what, 14% of the population, if that? Really 10 if you start to take out, really like 11 if you start shaving. Then black men are what, like 6% of the population? Like 7% of the population? Then you talk about ADOS black men, or, you know, ADOS black men? Like, come on now. It's like 6. Why should anybody give a fuck? And that's what doesn't get said. People just put these numbers out here like I'm supposed to be like, oh yeah, that's true. Okay. Why should I care? Because I'm not in that 40%. A lot of them motherfuckers homeless are old niggas. A lot of them unemployed are motherfuckers in retirement. Did you ever think about that? Like, seriously. Why should somebody care? Because that's really what we're dealing with. Your women don't give a fuck. Except to the point where they can't get money out your ass. I didn't say you. I'm talking about based on the numbers you're saying. Okay, so I get that. You're coming from I don't know if it's guilt or whatever, but it is. And I worked my way up to where I am. You know, my parents were supposed to have money, and then they got fucked over based on some family shit. So I come from a family that knows what money is, but ain't had the ability to tap it. So we had to restart our shit. So I get it. But what I'm telling you still is, why should somebody give a fuck? You're talking from a guilt standpoint. And I'm not saying that for you, I'm saying that for people, because you have this thing about thinking if you put a number out, that means something. Like, for instance, if I tell you that 73% of black women are single mothers, or they have kids of single mothers, why should I care? I care because that's an indicator how fucked up the future is going to be for the community I belong to. That's why I care. You see what I'm saying? And so most people should care if 40% of black men are unemployed, assuming those are the right numbers of 40%, like those are people that are actually supposed to be employed, is because those are less people that women could pull for. There's a lot of reasons. But see, you're just throwing me numbers as if just telling me the number is like something I'm going to automatically say needs to be fixed. This country is well aware of what's going on in it. As far as the people that can do something know what's going on. In fact, your academics, and BGS is correct on this, know a lot of shit they don't say. Why? Because they know that they don't have answers for how to deal with it. So what they do is they don't put every piece of information out there. There's information that they know that they keep close to the vest because they know that it's gonna fuck with their academia. So which makes them liars, because it's what data they want to present and what data they want to put out. So you keep on talking about data, that's the data a lot of times they want your black ass to know. No, I said, why should other people care? You care because of some guilt shit. I'm talking about why should people that don't have a stake in it care. That's what I'm talking about. Because when you point out the numbers, it's kind of like me sitting there trying to sell something. If people are not qualified because they don't give a shit, then I'm just wasting my time. And that's something I think that gets lost in people that listen to Tone. You all think because you all got some information that people give a fuck about what that is. Because it doesn't apply to them. That's the difference. Well, I got the data. Who gives a fuck? If that data cannot actually help somebody get from point A to point B, it's useless. And Tone throws out a whole bunch of fucking numbers as if just because y'all were ignorant to this shit don't mean everybody else was. Everybody wasn't ignorant to the shit Tone is saying. Tone is not the first person to say shit. But y'all listen to him, and what it is a way of this fan service shit. Yeah, man, he had the right information, man. He's the savior, man. You know, the data. I'm like, data is only as valuable as what you can do with it. Yeah, Big Poke, dog. Yet that data proves that begging for power never works. Guess what? But that is what Tone says. And with the one piece of data that Tone doesn't talk about is Tone doesn't talk about the fact that you're an obsolete working class. So really, you have no reason to be in the United States. Black people really have no reason to exist in the United States. This is how other groups see you. So when you're talking about voting for somebody that you didn't send to the White House to give you some shit that, you know, it really goes to show you people are not really understanding what the fuck is really going on. The numbers, but what are you arguing? You're arguing to me, this is what we've been talking about. You're talking to me saying that BGS stated that 40% of millennials are out of work as if there's never been a recession for other people. But my point is, the end of the day, he's not asking millennials to do anything except stop bitching. And at the end of the day, you're saying, well, I should be able to bitch because we're 40% unemployed. Okay, so why should anybody care? That's why I've been saying what I'm saying. Because what I'm trying to do is have you understand that nobody gives a fuck about black men. So you talking about numbers to argue points. Nobody's debating your point. What I'm saying is nobody gives a fuck, including a lot of other black men. That's what you're not understanding. So you're debating a point when I'm saying nobody gives a fuck about it in the first place. So there's nothing really to debate. Well, you keep saying BGS is wrong on that point. BGS is not saying that it's easier for millennials to get a job than in past generations. He's never stated that. So you're arguing, no, I know why you're mad, because he always has this thing about talking about millennials don't do what the buck up and do what the fuck they supposed to do. I'm a millennial, so I know. I know what he's talking about when he's saying that, as far as what he's saying. But he never explicitly said that millennials have an easier time getting employment. In fact, everything he said has actually been the opposite. That's that dark news shit. So what it is you just don't like him saying anything about millennials, and you feel like he should feel sorry for you because of that number that you keep pointing out. But this is where I come in. Why should somebody give a fuck? Nobody has said that black people have been, but BGS has not been out here saying that black people have been economically successful. If anything, your gripe is with Obsidian on that. And at the end of the day, Knights, why does anybody give a fuck? You make it sound like if we can disprove that success, that all of a fucking sudden, motherfuckers are gonna do what the fuck they supposed to do. You keep coming back to the same loop. Oh, well, you got me. Sorry, that's all they're gonna do. They already trying to bring immigrants in here to replace your ass. No, that's not. No, Doctor, that's a lie. Dr. Claude Anderson, that's not true. Dr. Claude, that's you manipulating what he said. Dr. Claude Anderson said specifically that you have to have an economy to basically leverage votes. You can't just leverage. No, you can't. Because if both parties don't fuck with you because you're not buying politicians, then what are you going to do? Which is nothing. Because you're not going to use violence to do it. Because that'll be called terrorism. which is actually why terrorism exists, by the way, to leverage political agendas. But Dr. Claude Anderson said to leverage your votes, you have to buy politicians. You can't just vote your way out of this. See, that's that tone bullshit. That's that tone talk shit. You have to buy politicians. Now, granted, yeah, you can vote in primaries and keep other people from getting in the White House. BTS, we were talking about that last night. But at the end of the day, you still have to buy politicians to get an agenda. You playing, oh, well, we're going to make sure you don't get in. That doesn't do enough. Because somebody's going to get in. And whoever put money up to get that person in is going to be the one that reaps the agenda. Your vote matters if it's used in the right way. For instance, most motherfuckers only talk and have this conversation from a perspective of voting in a national election. Your vote matters locally a hell of a lot more than it matters locally statewide, a hell of a lot more than it matters nationally. So when you keep saying, again, all of that is tone talks bullshit. And I'm gonna tell you, Asians are literally the fucking proof that that's a lie. Because Asians don't have the numbers for their vote to matter. Yet they get lightning years things done than black people. And they've been doing it before the Chinese will put money up in their ass. Because all Asians are not Chinese. So again, it's money. You have to aggregate the money to push for change that you want via the politics. This is why the economy is under the politics. You all are trying to flip it, and it doesn't work that way because you're begging for power. But the problem is people are not really understanding what's being said. So that it's like they're taking these, well, you can just vote. Our vote matters. Black people been fucking voting. We voted for, we helped Obama get elected. And a lot of the wealth that was lost before 2008, black people have not recovered. So other people have moved in to the shit that we've lost, and now we're fucking assed out. But we talking about doing the same shit. Yeah, because most black people don't know. Talk about our vote matters. Our vote matters. That's like having water and turning a faucet on but not drinking it. Like, y'all don't even know what y'all voting for half the time when y'all voting. Y'all don't know. Well, we're voting for the Democratic Party. You're voting for gynocracy. You're voting for the alphabet community. You're voting, like BGS will try to come at me, just so you know, I ain't just caping for BGS. Oh, well, they're going to do student loans. That's if they do it. They're going to do Medicare for all. Democrats have been trying to do that. I've been hearing that shit. You want to hear that shit? You really think they're going to get Medicare for all now? Where they didn't have it before? You see how hard it was to get the Affordable Care Act? No, fuck Medicare for all. I don't want to sit here and have some fucking waste political capital on America or Medicare for all. You know how much political fucking capital we blew on the Affordable Care Act? But no, I want to sit here and waste more. Fuck that. Because that's only going to affect old people anyway. Student loans. I don't got no student loans. My mom just got hers reversed. Got hers taken out. So that's mainly gonna help with it. Yeah, that's gonna help some people, but that don't help black men specifically because our money is into college.
And 83 cents.
Yeah, so you're right. We did help them win, and we didn't have an agenda, and that's our fault at the end of the day. And the people that tried to talk about, yeah, because I gave you a 20.
Oh, I'm so sorry about that. Oh my God.
Sorry.
Ed, I accidentally put in a a 10 instead of a 20. He gave me a 20, but I accidentally hit 10. I'm sorry.
That's fine. I tried to find the 10, couldn't find it.
I'm sorry about that.
Mm-hmm. You got the extra red sauce?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Yeah. I'll be back and put this in the car while y'all doing that.
Sorry about that.
No, it's fine. I understand. I'm not saying data does not matter, but what I'm saying is you have reading comprehension matters too, and listening skills matters too. And people sit here and throw out blind like this. I can see to say when black people are just sitting there and blindly throwing out just talk, and it's not aimed at anything, then that doesn't do anything. And people act like just quoting some numbers is supposed to mean something to somebody without context. So when we talk about, what's an agenda, people are sitting here, yeah, you're right, we did vote for Obama and didn't have agenda. But like having numbers don't mean nothing. Numbers mean something as far as a narrative, which is what Tone is good at. But when it comes to actually using money to power what you're trying to do, he don't know how to do that. He don't know how to raise money. That's why he leans on like he does. Okay, thank you so much. No, it's fine. That's why he leans on Byron Allen like he does. And that's why he's the type of person they'll say, well, capitalism is fake, capitalism is this, yet Byron Allen billionaire. And he don't say nothing about Byron Allen as far as hiring black people. No, because that's his boy. Which means, at the end of the day, he tries to act like he needs to be taken seriously. And all these dudes, like anybody to say, oh, you need to listen to me over other people, because I'm the only real ass nigga, that's usually the first indication somebody's got something wrong with them. Well, yeah, but even if I have a conversation as far as something tangible, most people don't even know what the fuck that is. They say reparations because that's something that's nice, sexy, and sounds good, but they don't really have a good, thorough understanding of what they need because black people have never had to ask that question before. So they don't know. So they sit there and they say something like reparations, or with Tone and Yvette, we need to be made whole. Some fucking amalgamistic stuff, and they don't get specific. What the fuck are you fucking talking about? First things first, and so, yeah. First things first, what I would say, when you look at, I would say that, you need to have black people need to have there's a lot of stuff I could really say that needs to be done. But a lot of the basic broad shit, a lot of people are doing, you can tell they're not, and you can tell they don't think about this stuff like they need to. Folks are just spitting something out so they can sound like they know some shit or they're not out of the loop. All that fucking listening to politics dudes and they don't know shit about what the fuck they need because we don't think of each other as a group like that. We just don't. We're like this emotional hive, but we're not really thinking from okay, this is what the infrastructure things that we need are, because most black people are not even raised to understand what that shit is. Yeah, what up, Marcus? I didn't say this affected you. You the one. See, all you trying to do is sit here and basically say that Tone, which really, if you got that issue, you really need to just talk to BGS yourself. But you saying Tone got more info, like Tone's information is counteracted BGS's data, and I know exactly what you're saying when you said it. You're basically saying up some shit where BGS says that that he ain't never said, and trust me, I disagree with BGS all the time. He ain't never said that it's easier to get employed as millennial. So I already know you saying that. Like, and people gotta recognize the difference. Like, yeah, man, well, he keeps giving millennials a hard time as if we got it easier. We rock with 40% employment. Every generation has some shit they've had to deal with. Like, millennials ain't new. Yes, the older people do got advantages we didn't have. But at the same time, this shit they had to deal with, we don't got to deal with it. Like, you do not deal with the brute force racism that a lot of them had to deal with. And that just is what it is. So when you hear Tone talk about, yeah, man, this is the data, this is the number, man, fuck Tone. Because I can get numbers to counteract what I'm saying too. When Tone sits there and say, well, black people ain't got no wealth, okay, fine, take out the credit card wealth. Well, we ain't got no real wealth. Okay, carve out, I'm only focused on 40% of the black community. Well, we still ain't got no money. Okay, then why do we got shit? Like, why are we not living under the poverty line? Don't fucking say it's just because of everybody on credit, because that ain't true. You can't pass down credit wealth. That ain't what everybody's doing. Nigga, you know. So again, he's got his acolytes, he's got his fans. That's fine. I'm telling you, listen to that nigga, you'll be a broke nigga. If you ain't already got money, you'll be broke. That's all I'm saying. That's where it starts, that's where it ends. Yeah, but see, again, Knights, you keep talking about what we need. Again, white people are not going to give you a fucking New Deal. So what are you going to do? Kill yourself? White people are not going to. They already said it. You didn't have black people say to your fucking face they not going to do that. Elizabeth Warren said reparations for what? Kamala Harris said for who? These motherfuckers have said this directly to your fucking face. But you talk about what you need. They done told you no. But yet, Tone is still telling you to vote for him. And you still saying your vote matters. It does matter. It matters if your ass don't vote too. A vote of no confidence is a vote as well. A vote to stay your black ass home is a vote as well. Because it does affect somebody. Why you think Trump got in there? What's up, Roastmaster? Shout out to Roastmaster. Roastmaster knows what buying black is. Yeah, but Night B, you sound like you know what you do. So you do. I can believe you a suburban because I'm kind of a suburban Negro, but I'm a hybrid. You sound like one of these dudes that you got this like bleak view of black people. So somebody like Tone is gonna speak to your ass. It speaks to your guilt. Oh my God, we gotta help these poor Negroes. You know, da da da. Like, man, it ain't as many black people that is like oh, everybody's poor. Everybody just doesn't have stuff. Like, dude, don't, like I said, I can tell, boy, you are the prime avatar of the type of dude that Tone likes to talk to. You are like his target market. Like I said, everything you said is true and nobody gives a fuck. So unless you got an answer to how to make them give a fuck, really, if nothing changes, nothing changes. That's really the long and short of it. And if I was talking to Tone, everything he said, this is exactly what I would say. I would say, so Tone, why should anybody give a fuck? And he will have no answer to that. Do you care about your people? No, because you're not asking our people to make people whole. You're asking white people, aka the Democratic Party, to make people whole. These are the same people that see you as an obsolete working class. So you tell me, how do you leverage that to make that happen? Because you're real big on telling me what the problem is. And you think your data is the solution. The only solution I hear from you is tell these motherfuckers over and over and over again what the fuck they already know. Everything you talking about, the people that need to know, already know. The people that can affect the change, already know. And you're basically hedging your bets that, well, if we let them know that we know this now and you can't trick us anymore, then what? Oh, by the way, still vote Democrat though, so there's really no threat here. There's no threat that we're gonna not vote for you. We're gonna, or benign neglect. We're just gonna say, now we know fun and games is over, it's time for you to fix it. That's his whole platform. That's his whole platform. Tell me I'm lying. Tell me what I just said is not correct. Tell me what I just said is not correct and why. Hey, I want to help my people too, but I help my people by helping themselves. I don't help my people by telling them to, like, that's like me sending a woman, that's like a woman saying, I want a man, and I say, go to church. I basically just said, fuck you, don't ask me no more. And basically just parked her somewhere where I know most likely she's not going to find a man. But she'll shut the fuck up. I don't believe in that. I believe in actually telling you how to help yourself. Now, whether you want to rise up to do that, that's up to you, and that is the struggle. But what I'm not going to say is, well, look, I'm broke. How do I make money? Well, you need to vote for the Democratic Party and pray that these good white folks decide to feel guilty enough to help your black ass. Because that's about easy guilt more than that. That's really about helping somebody. And that's fucked up. They believe more in telling you something that you want to hear rather than what you need to know. What you need to know is you're broke because you were set up to be that way, and the only person who's gonna help yourself is you. And motherfucker, it ain't like you in a goddamn third world country. So you need to be appreciative that you're not, and then do what the fuck you gotta do. Whatever baggage you have, you gotta clear it. It may take a long time, it may be hard, it may not be hard. And that's what it is. That is what it is. Nobody's going to save you. If you're a black man, that's damn true. And anything other than that is a lie. And if people want to use numbers and use whatever they want to use in order to validate that lie, because all that shit is keep away, the numbers can be true. But telling somebody that 40% of people are unemployment, that you're alone, that doesn't solve nothing. Exactly. And I hear you. What he said. Not really. You keep going back to the same loop. You told us why they should care because we can leverage our vote. So how are you going to leverage your vote when you've already communicated you're going to vote for them anyway? What are you leveraging your vote against? Because Tony's already told people to vote for the Democrats. That's what I'm talking about, man. Like, literally, you're talking, like, dude, you're talking in circles. You're talking in circles. I mean, I'm serious. You talking in circles. If you listen to this comment, if you actually look at your comments, and I get it, I'm not trying to be an asshole. I'm really not. I know I'm coming off like that. But you're talking in circles. You're saying, I already told you why they should care. Basically, you're talking about vote for the Democrats. You're saying the same thing Tone says. But look at the data, vote for the Democrats. That's all you're saying. And the Democrats ain't gonna do shit. Nigga, a big reason why black people are in the position that they're in is literally because of the Democratic Party. The Democratic Party did it to you. That's not you, but us. That's what y'all don't understand. You talking to me as if there's some revelation that like the Democrats are gonna give that we don't know. They did it to you. They know what they did. But anyway, I've talked long enough. I'm gonna watch this game. So that being said, this is Edward signing off. Peace.